Call to order the regular board meeting for Pleasantdale School District 107 Board of Education at 6 p.m. on June 17, 2026. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Bracco?
Here.
Mrs. Lenzen?
Here.
Mr. Nash?
Here.
Mrs. Walters?
Here.
Mr. Zona?
Here.
Mr. Mason?
Here.
Mrs. Marchion?
Here.
Pledge is going to be the board.
Oh, okay.
We'll lead ourselves, or you'll miss.
Bill, you like to lead?
Sure.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A rerun from last meeting. So we have our 6th grade poems. They were so good, we figured we'd keep them up for another month. Let it ride, exactly.
Okay. Next is item 3, open forum. It doesn't appear there's anyone here to address a board, so we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is item 4, the consent agenda, which consists of the following. 4A, approve regular minutes of the April 15, 2026 meeting. 4B, approve payment of April payroll and May warrants and the May payroll and June warrants. And Jason was our checker this month. All good? Questions?
Good job.
All right. 4C, approve the June 2026 personnel report. 4D, approve application for approval of the 10-year life safety report for Pleasantdale Elementary School and Pleasantdale Middle School. 4E, approve the voluntary student insurance. 4F, approve consolidated district plan. 4G, approve designation of depositories for school district funds. 4H, board resolution for serious safety hazard approval. And 4I, resolution authorizing certain payments. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Bracco?
Yes.
Mrs. Lenzen?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mr. Zona?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mrs. Marchion?
Yes. Okay. Item 5, approve the new evening custodial contract. So recommendation is, can I get a motion that the board approve a 3-year contract with GSF USA Inc. for evening custodial services for Pleasantdale School District for the total amount of $858,743.34.
Moved.
Second.
Mr. Bracco?
Yes.
Mrs. Lenzen?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mr. Zona?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mrs. Marchion?
Yes. Item 6, approve middle school fire alarm project. Can I get a motion that the board approve phase 1 of the fire alarm upgrade at Pleasantdale Middle School in the amount of $177,849? So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Bracco?
Yes.
Mrs. Lenzen?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mr. Zona?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mrs. Marchion?
Yes. Okay. Item 7, administrative reports. I'll turn it over to Dr.
All right,
Russell.
our first item on here is the demographic report. And as part of the Reimagine D107 community engagement process, the district conducted an enrollment study to better understand current and future student enrollment trends. To complete this work, the district engaged RSP and Associates, a firm specializing in enrollment forecasting. The purpose of the study was not to support or refute any previous analysis. Rather, it was designed to provide objective data-driven assessment based on extensive quantitative research. Multiple data sources were incorporated into the analysis, creating the foundation for the statistical forecast model used in the projection of future enrollment. Enrollment changes within the community are influenced by many factors, including both birth rates, demographic shifts, housing development patterns, and housing availability. The goal of this study is to provide the Board of Education, administration, and the community with reliable information to support informed decision-making that best serves the students in classrooms. Based on the analysis, total district enrollment is projected to grow modestly by approximately 5%, reaching 842 students by the 2030-31 school year. The report identifies Lyons Township High School property as the most significant game changer affecting future enrollment. This site represents a pivotal opportunity as future land decisions will play a major role in determining whether Pleasantdale School District 107 experiences stable enrollment or renewed growth. As a result, the report recommends that the district closely monitor any potential sale or redevelopment of the property, as well as continue tracking demographic trends to ensure future decisions are informed by the most current and accurate data current and accurate data available. The full report is available on the district website under the Reimagine D107 tab. At this point, we'll take a break for the summer from our engagement work. No additional formal meetings will take place. No further funds will be committed until we have more information from LT. Any questions, comments?
Is there any update from LT besides what emails or whatever they've done publicly?
Not really. I know that they were working on a wetland study. I believe that's coming to an end, which then will, from what I understand, begin the formal marketing phase. We should know more come kind of mid-end of summer when they put terms and conditions out. Once terms and conditions go out, though, they have 60 days. They have 60 days to either accept a bid or reject all bids. So really, once that happens, the clock starts ticking.
So after the 60 days, then and they say, we're not going to take, we don't like any of these offers, then it's just.
Then either they can
for-
rebid it, they
at
can
some point.
rewrite the terms and conditions and
Okay.
put them out again.
Okay.
They can just say, we're not gonna do anything, or they can accept one of the bids that they
Gotcha.
get.
Okay.
Is that, I'm looking at Sean,
Yeah,
that sounds
no,
right. I
for
know
sure.
that is
Yes,
the
but
life.
even if they accept a bid, you're still looking at a long runway before
Sure. But at least we
before it's
need-
closed, before shovels are in the ground, before anything's built, before, yeah, so I mean, I would bet on the over on any kind of timeline we're thinking about. I mean, that's what they've proven at this point, so.
Okay, that's a great question.
And it's a closed bid process, right? So we don't know if there's been any.
I mean, it's closed, we don't know if there's any at this point,
Yeah.
no. I mean, anything that they would have, any interest they would have gotten would be completely
Yeah.
unsolicited.
Yeah.
And I can't speak to what that might be. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I guess the report plus the LT situation leaves us with, tabling any kind of big picture plans, but do we want to revisit, refocus our energy on the smaller incremental changes that have been addressed by the committee and by the board and say, look, these are things we can accomplish now, and maybe we do some of them again if there's some big project in the future, but right
Yeah.
now there isn't one, and so let's
That's kind of
make
where we're at.
improvements right now.
We're looking at kind of prioritizing those and looking at how to, what can be done and what can't be done. I mean, with where our budget is and where our reserves are right now with having purchased that land, there's not a ton of wiggle room to do many of those projects. But again, looking at them, kind of given the available funds and resources, and what we can, we will, and what we can't, we'll table.
Yeah, 'cause it seemed like the feedback from the community was really, they wanted more programming, within the middle school and elementary school. So it'd be really good to kind of narrow down, like, what is that programming you're looking for? Are you looking for like a science center, an agricultural center, something with STEM, something, a pool, something, what are you looking for? Like, it'd be nice to just kind of like, what are those projects that, they're looking at, we would like to see out of the district rather than like just building more addition or something.
Fair.
I'd also be curious to see like where things stand with like, I know we talked about playground equipment or like something here and like, giving them an area, and so like, if we can get maybe like at the next board meeting or something, we can talk about like what that would look like or where that stands. Is that possible, like outside of this larger project
Yeah.
and things like that?
Actually, because we're coming back in the fall with this group to do exactly what you guys are talking about, so maybe the September meeting would be a good time for something like that. And by that point, we may at least have a better idea of what the terms and conditions are from LT and have an idea of what they're targeting at least. I mean, again, the terms and conditions can be written in so many different ways that it's hard to speculate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think I don't know, I think what we're trying, I think I'd like to see like some things that would be done in isolation regardless of what happens with the LT
Sure,
land, right?
100%,
Okay,
agreed.
just
I think we're saying the same
okay.
thing.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, we're saying the same thing.
Like, and would that playground potentially fall into, like things like that, like where do they fall, like,
Yeah.
are they dependent on one thing or
And what's the
not?
cost
Right,
and what's
exactly.
the impact and all
Okay.
of that, that's great.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
I also had a question, like, with this report, did RSP give any indication about, like, different scenarios and what we could expect if, like, there was 100 homes built, like, what type of
Yeah.
yield, what would that yield in student population, or,
They were really careful about not necessarily overcommitting on an answer to that question, because without knowing things like density, type of housing, stuff like that, they really can't make a prediction on something like that. I think one of the questions that the facilitating team said, like, once we have a better idea of what might go there, if the terms and conditions come out and it's a little bit more specific, or once those bids are open, can we go back to our SP and say, okay, now we know it's gonna be 100 homes, or 150 homes, or townhomes, or condos, what would you expect at that point? And so I say we cross that bridge when we come to it, but they weren't really able to predict just because they just don't have enough information.
Yeah, I would hope they would give us an updated, since they continually
I think
call it
they
a
will.
game changer, and so I would hope it wouldn't be an additional like cost or like, back to the drawing board. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's
no,
what they call
I don't think it'll be a
throughout.
back
Like, I
to-
would hope, they would understand that maybe they would postpone their work if it was such a huge game changer until after that was done in order to complete their study. That would be my hope in all of that,
Agreed.
Yeah.
Cool. Moving on, so student services update. All right, so here at District 107, we take pride in being responsive to the diverse needs of our students and ensuring that every learner is equipped for success. Tonight, Director for Student Services, Sarah Pawlowski, will provide an update on the services currently offered to our students. And so Sarah, I'll turn it over to you.
Right, hello. All right, so overview of student services. These are kind of the different types of programming that we offer. McKinney-Vento homeless, home hospital, early intervention, preschool, early childhood, multilingual education, section 504, and special education. These programs are focused to provide opportunity for all students to remove those barriers that might make accessing curriculum and learning within our schools more challenging. So I want to talk a little bit about what students are receiving what of these services. So McKinney-Vento is the homeless federal act or federal law that ensures that education is stable for students who might be experiencing some homelessness or some transient issues. So we would help provide transportation, school supplies, lunch, fee waivers. And then the home hospital is students who may be in need of either hospitalization or just being home, that we make sure to continue their education for them. So that kind of comes through our department as well. Early intervention in preschool, this is where we've got a lot more hard numbers for us. So early intervention, students birth to age 3 can be receiving services through early intervention, and then they get referred to the home district to be then evaluated and determine if they would qualify for additional services here in our program. And this year we had 10 students come through early intervention, 10 of them were found eligible. 8 of them received services through Pleasantdale, and 2 of them received services through our LADSI programming. So our preschool program, we had 45 students receiving services from Pleasantdale, and that includes within our program as well as LADSI, because those are our students as well. So we have in our Pleasantdale preschool program, we had 36. Receiving preschool through LADSI, we have 6 students, and then we have itinerant or walk-in speech services, which we have 3 students. So our English learners and our bilingual students are a multilingual department. We have 18 total languages within our district, and there's kind of the breakdown of how many students speak each of those languages. So as we know, our TBE program that we have at the elementary school for Serbian, we also hit that threshold for Macedonian. We have 21 Serbian and 21 Macedonian, both at the elementary school. So of the, as you see on there, 23, 21 of them are at the elementary school. And of those 25 Serbian, 21 of them are at the elementary.
And these are just students that are receiving the services at this
Correct.
point.
So once receiving the multilingual program, exactly. Once they've exited, they may still be out there in our population, but receiving those services. Good question.
Because I feel like I remember you said in the past that by like 4th grade, most of them are receiving the
That's our
services,
goal.
right? Yeah.
That's our goal. So actually, I'm going to go to the next slide, and this is where I'm going to talk about a little bit about the exiting. So the students take the access test every single year in January, and then we receive the preliminary scores in May. We'll get the final scores probably the end of this month, I'm hoping. But once they receive a 4.8 on that access test, which our goal is by that fourth grade time, that's really our hope, that before they enter middle school. We do have those students who still continue to receive those services in middle school, but the goal would be that they're in that monitoring and they just kind of receive, they don't have to take the access test anymore, but we like to keep them kind of on the radar a little bit for 2 extra years. So this current year, we've had 15 students in the year 2 and 11 students in year 1, and this year we had 12 students exit. So they'll be into the year 1 next year. So based on the access test that they just took.
Can you go back to the previous slide?
Sure.
It's like there's a bunch of languages where it's like one.
Yeah.
Like how, do we have staff that support that language? Like how are we
Not
supporting
in
those
this-
students?
Just in general language acquisition. It's really
Okay.
about the English immersion and learning the English language and the vocabulary and comprehension of the English language.
Right.
So the TBE program is where we need that targeted when you have more than 20 at an attendance center.
Okay.
That then you have that person who speaks the
Dedicated,
language that's
right.
dedicated to help bridge that.
But I guess my question would be like,
Sure.
let's say someone comes in and they speak Bulgarian, but like they're
What we
like
did.
not fluent. Like, and do we have some? How are they communicating with
That
the
is a great
classroom?
question. We actually had a student at the middle school this year who came in speaking Mandarin, Chinese.
Okay.
Didn't have any English, and so we had to work with tech department and everything to get iPads that would translate for him. He has earbuds so that he can listen, and it translates and it tells it to him in his language so that he's able to do it. It's
I don't wanna, I wanna really praise Sarah and James for the work that they did with that student in particular. He came in not knowing a
And
word of
nothing,
English.
no
And
English.
I think he was in
Seventh grade.
Seventh grade.
This is
Wow.
So picture yourself
Yes.
as a seventh grader.
brand newcomer here.
Brand new to the country. They researched, they found these headphones that
Mhm.
literally the teacher
He's
talks and it translates into Mandarin Chinese, and it
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah.
I
And
couldn't
he's,
believe it.
and he speaks
They
English,
came
a
from
little
China.
English now.
This device came from China. Poor James is like trying to, like the directions are in Chinese.
Oh.
Running that through ChatGPT.
It was an
trying to, like,
experience.
I mean, I
It
don't
was
think I
really
can
fun.
underestimate how responsive the district was in that one case, and
Yeah.
all
It
of
was
those
exactly
kids
what
had
you
that
just
same
said,
problem,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So kudos
If
to
that's
the
the
team for
need,
that.
that's what we seek to.
And I'll just say, I know this specific student, and he was in like all of the sports too.
Yeah.
So
He
he
was
was
very
even like
involved.
partaking in like
Super
co-curricular activities, which I think is especially
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, he really was immersed and became involved, and it was really great to see. So it is exactly that, like I said at the beginning, remove those barriers to make learning accessible to our students.
So sorry, what is the
Yeah.
you said TBE pro?
The TBE, Transitional Bilingual Education. I'm
Thank
like,
you. Okay.
remembering
I know
the
what that meant.
acronyms, I know the letters, but
Okay.
yeah.
Right,
But so
okay.
that is when we have that.
Got it. Okay,
24.
thank you.
Yeah.
I did not know.
No, yeah, good question. All right. Any other questions?
Thank you.
No, absolutely. All right, so section 504, this is for students who may have a medical diagnosis or regarding as having a medical diagnosis, who may need accommodations and may not need direct goal work in certain areas, but still would need some accommodations or some extra supports in order to make the curriculum accessible to them. So one thing to note, this year in our preschool program, we actually had 2 students who became eligible at 3, came into our program, and have received the supports through our preschool program and their IEPs, and have been dismissed from their IEPs before moving on to kindergarten. So those 2 pre-K 504s are going to be going to kindergarten next year, but just kind of goes to show what our preschool program and the right supports in place can do for them, that they have those medical diagnoses and they're going to continue to receive accommodations, but the gains that they make are huge in our program. So as you can see, definitely more diagnoses happen once students are in middle school, and that's just kind of, that's the nature of it though. It's harder, it's hard to diagnose some of the anxiety or the ADHDs and some of those in the lower grades. So you'll see a lot more of that coming up once you get like 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. Sorry. So our continuum of services, we have general education that may be with support through MTSS, through the 504 plans, or just support from your classroom teacher. We have our co-taught program, extended resource where students might need a small group setting, alternate curriculum, additional supports in some way for that core instruction. We also have our LADSI programming, and when we need a little bit more, we have those therapeutic day schools that all as part of our continuum of services.
Do we still offer extended school year where kids like,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah. So here I have,
Like, I don't know where it would fit in.
Wait, what's extended school year?
It's like, so they come for summer school, like
Yeah.
academy, but it's like.
so if students
Like
need,
Achievers Academy?
Yeah.
it's kind of like Achievers. So if a student, I like to use the analogy for ESY, those students who, when you come to springtime and we all pull the bike out of the garage or the shed and we get back on, it's like, woo, it's been a hot minute. Takes us a minute. But those students who would need to relearn how to ride the bike after that break would qualify for extended school year. So to maintain that progress so that they're not relearning everything when they come back in the fall.
But it's separate from Achievers, like in during.
Right, it's more goal,
Okay.
IEP goal focused,
Okay.
right. So if they could receive an Achievers class and that would just be that
Part of it.
grade level material that they're working on, but if they really need that goal work to maintain so they don't have to relearn their goal progress.
Okay.
So our special education students, I broke down our total enrollment for each grade, the students who are receiving services here at Pleasantdale, the students that we have receiving their services through LADSI, therapeutic day schools, and then I also have the private schools. So we do have one private school within our district where we provide services to students. Typically it's speech and language is what we provide to them, but it's part of our child find obligations to make sure that we are meeting the needs of students and identifying supports that students might need. So we have 3 students at our private school that are receiving speech and language services through our district. So we have 121 total students receiving services in some way or another from our district. So here's kind of a breakdown of all the number of students receiving each of these types of programming and supports. So we have 11 McKinney-Vento students, 45 preschool students, 99 EL students, 53 504 students, and 119 IEP students. There's our percentages of the general education population, and so about 37% of students in our district receive supports in some way to level the playing field for them through these programs.
Thank you very much.
Questions?
Well done. Great work.
Sorry.
Great diligence.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to another thrilling report. Our spring testing report, continuing our commitment to continuous improvement. Assistant Superintendent for Teaching and Learning, Dr. Jennifer Band, will present an overview of the district's spring standardized testing results. Excuse me, this report will highlight student performance trends that inform our instructional planning for the coming year. Jennifer, the podium is yours.
This is exciting. So we're doing so well. Thank you. Okay, well this year we got the IAR scores in time, so I decided to put that first. Just to refresh your memories, IAR is the Illinois Assessment of Readiness. It's kind of the state standard to make sure that students are performing at or above our grade level expectations annually in grades 3 through 8. It's a federally required assessment, and we measure our annual student grade level progress, both in growth and achievement. What I don't have for you is growth, only achievement. We can kind of look at growth on our little table and follow cohorts, but the state does this really like complicated report that we don't get until October that shows us what our average growth is and how that's measured on the school report card. So unfortunately I don't have the growth piece for you, but we do have our student achievement, which is pretty great. So here's our reading data. 82% of our students were proficient or above proficient on the assessment this year. I didn't do a breakdown of proficient versus above proficient. I should probably do that. We're starting to see more students fall into the above proficient range, which is really exciting. That's something I've been wanting to see for a long time is, you know, if we have students doing more advanced work, we should see more students being above proficient. And so, and as you can see, the students are doing extremely well in ELA. 2 percentage points down, but that's pretty negligible. That might be like 5 students, if that. And these are probably, these 80%, 90%, these are some of the highest scores in the state. So really proud of our ELA teachers. They implemented a strategy called RACES, which is the way that the students respond to reading in their writing. Restate the question, answer the question, cite the evidence, explain the evidence, and then summarize your information. And that has really, I think, led to the jump in scores and the student performance because the students know what to expect. They're very well prepared for the assessments and they can demonstrate that they can both understand complex text at grade level and answer complex questions about it and explain them very well. So doing awesome in reading.
Can you go back, so sorry,
Yeah.
just real quick. So
Yeah.
6th and 7th grade cohort look like they went down from
Yeah, a little
25
bit.
to 26.
Yeah, a little bit.
Aren't we like looking at the curriculum? Like, did we already redo the curriculum, the
Yeah.
ELA curriculum?
So
like
we
what
just,
years?
we just implemented a new resource in 6th through 8th
Yes,
grade.
okay.
And then 5th grade moved to CKLA as
Okay.
well. And I want to highlight the 5th grade percentage. They saw huge growth from 4th grade to 5th grade. And I was talking with one of our 5th grade teachers the other day after summer academy, and she said, I think it's because we did more informational units through that
Nice.
CKLA program. So, you know, like, even though it's not like always our ELA teachers' favorite thing to teach because they love the literature and,
Right.
you know, that's what fills them with joy, but they also see the great value in making sure students can comprehend both literature and informational text. So, like small drops like that, I'm not like
Okay.
super concerned with. That's maybe like a handful of kids.
Okay, I was just curious.
If we saw like huge drops, I'd be a little concerned. But this is not something that would make me think we need to relook at our program.
I was just curious if it was represented because we switched,
Oh,
like a
yeah, maybe
transition
like a tiny
period, you know what I mean?
implementation
Like,
dip?
yes, that's what I
Maybe.
was
I mean,
referring to.
I guess it's an implementation circle. Like
I was
it's
just
pretty
curious, okay.
pretty
Yeah,
negligible.
that's so interesting, like that 5th grade class, like they went from like 50, like these huge jumps. like
Yeah, look
55
at the green
to
all the way down,
73 to
55%,
84.
73%, 84%, so they're showing great growth. It's pretty amazing. I know, I told the 5th grade teachers, like, the 4th to 5th grade curse has been expelled.
That's what I was just
Yeah.
thinking, because we talk about it so often,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
it's kind of
it's
very
positive.
We
exciting.
got a few years of that.
The 3rd grade scores track the other years. What's the outlier with 2025 and that 81 for the 3rd grade? Is
That's
that-
an extremely high-performing group
Okay, yeah.
of students. To the point where we had to have 2 advanced math classes in 4th grade this year. It's an extremely high-performing group. Every once in a while, we get a group that just kind of
Yeah.
shocks the world. And so, 5th grade, I've already kind of warned 5th grade, like, I don't expect you to go much higher. I don't know how much higher we're gonna go,
Right,
but
so it comes
we want to
around.
maintain that level of performance for sure.
That makes
So,
sense.
yeah, it's an incredible group.
Because the others seem to be about the same, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the 3rd grade group from 2022 as well, they
Improvement,
raised
yeah.
their score, dropped a little bit, and then like just went off the charts, which is kind of amazing too. I think it's really hard to maintain a level of performance at like 85% proficient and above proficient. That is far beyond what is expected in the state. That's like, I don't know, tripling or quadrupling the state average. So, I mean, my goal had always been to get above 75% meets proficient above proficient, and we are in reading, and we're so there. So when we're giving students grade level content, they can not only perform on it, they can outperform it in reading. So it's a really nice thing to see. Any other questions about reading? So we'll go to math. as we've talked about for a long time, the math assessment is extremely challenging and challenging for us to prepare the students for. So as we've known year over year over year, we always see like our students perform super well on adaptive math assessments because they're exposed to so much higher level content in our very robust math program. That doesn't always translate to the IAR where they're being tested on grade level concepts and they're expected to model and reason their responses to a certain point. And our students who are so bright in math are like, hey, I gave you the answer. What else do you want me to do? So we're really having to focus on preparing students for the math IAR. And what we are going to do, I have this in the next slide, we're going to implement a structured response system similar to what we have in ELA for math next year. So we've been looking at this data all year in our curriculum council and at our grade level teams. And through discussions, it's not that the students don't know the math, because they do. It's that they don't have a structured way to respond that they're used to. And so like every question to them is new. So they're like, oh, so this question I have to do this. But really if we put a response system in place that's like, okay, solve the problem, explain what you did. So we have fourth grade is already using this process and taught it to them before they took IAR. And so you see the results in fourth grade, they did really well. And fourth grade has traditionally been a really hard test. So for the last couple of years, the fourth grade teachers have told me like, this was so hard for them. We've had kids not finish in fourth grade. We've had kids like upset. So I think putting in that structured response system is really going to make a huge difference in the upper grades as well.
This fourth grade though that you're showing, this is like Kate, Bridget, and Fiona, right? Because they took this when they were in fourth grade. Like the results I have like in Fiona is like the most current.
Oh, this is this year's fourth grade.
This is this year's fourth grade. 82% is this year's fourth grade.
Oh, you haven't sent them out.
Yeah, no, they don't come out till October.
They don't come out.
Oh,
These are,
October.
I should also
Okay.
mention, these are preliminary results, so they haven't gone through the test corrections, and this is all we have, is the percent of students proficient and above proficient. We don't have any like disaggregating reports yet, so like I can't even look to see like what are the areas that they didn't do as well in, or how are the writing scores or anything like that. We can't, and we don't have the growth yet either. So like really, if we wanted to focus more on digging deep into IAR in a report like this, we'd need to do it in the fall when we have all that information. This is just kind of like, here's how we did, but we can't tell you a whole lot else about it because we don't really know, other than the student scale scores, what all is involved in this performance.
So what are you using to make decisions about accelerating students, like this current data or the prior one?
IAR is not part of our advanced placement decision-making criteria. It's something we consult when we see students above proficient. That tells us that they're able to perform above grade level or exceed the grade level standard. If they perform proficient, that doesn't necessarily mean they wouldn't be a good candidate for an advanced program, but because this is a grade level test, I can't say, we need to be able to have measures that show us student performance beyond a grade level target. So this is just for our reference, and we do look at it when we do our placement reviews in both math and ELA, but we can't say like you have to have a 4, you have to have a 3, because it's grade level. So if it's below grade level, then we certainly are concerned, but if a student got a 4, it's like, okay, that's some additional information that's really useful for us to know that they can outperform a grade level test or perform very well at an above proficient level on a grade level test. So COGAT is typically our starting point because that gives us the cognitive ability, like how kids can reason. Then we look at our MAP data because that can show us what students are ready for next. So if they're performing at that 80th or 90th percentile, we're like, oh, so they're ready for more content, they're ready for more advanced content. We do look at their grades, we look at their writing for ELA, we'll consult their IAR scores, and then we'll also kind of look at class performance too. So it's kind of a big, you want to have multiple measures that you look at, and you want to be able to look at aptitude, ability, and achievement, put all of those together to make a full picture for a student. That's also why when we do advanced placement, we say you don't have to have exactly the score because you could be close, and still perform very well. So we also don't want kids to live and die by one test score either. But we do look for above average to well above average performance in every measure to make sure that it's an appropriate placement for students. So that's math. I would be willing to wager that once we put a response system in place for 5th grade and above, we're going to see these scores go up too, because we know the kids know the math. So those are our next steps. We'll continue the RACES strategy for reading responses. I also have to give kudos to the ELA teachers for teaching the rest of the departments in the middle school about how to use this process. So they do this in social studies, they do a version of it in science. So now we need to put that math one in place. So that similar response strategy. And then, as you guys know, we just adopted a new math curriculum in 6th to 8th grade. That's the other piece that I think is going to make a huge difference, is students are going to be doing more work in modeling and reasoning that will give them more experience for what they are going to see on the IAR. So we should see those scores start to come up. And as you guys know, typically our math scores in reading are a little bit on the more above average side, and the math scores in math are the well above average side. And then the IAR is like, in reading is like off the charts, and then in math we're kind of we're above average, but I think we can be more above average given our student performance and everything else. So then going to MAP. So right now we're giving MAP in the fall and the spring. In the fall we give it to 2nd through 8th grade. In the spring we give it to 2nd through 7th grades. 8th grade, they only need one MAP score to place into their high school classes. So we give them the MAP in the fall. In October, and then we allow them the opportunity in early December to retake it if they do want to raise their score, so they're really the only ones who would take math in the winter. We give it in reading and math. And this used to be a measure that we really deeply used to inform instruction because we didn't have a whole lot else, like common assessment-wise and timely, to be able to inform our instruction. Now that we have a more robust curricular system across reading and math, where we have common local assessments that we can see day-to-day student progress and respond to the students' needs in class, we don't have as much of a need for an adaptive test that shows us like, okay, you're ready to learn this, you're ready to learn that, because we're kind of already doing that. But we still need it because we don't have an achievement measure that shows above grade level performance. And that's what MAP gives us. It shows us what students have learned and what they're ready to learn. It also gives us an additional data point to determine intervention supports. We're going to talk about AIMSweb last, and that's really our universal screener now to determine if students need intervention or support, or if we need to do an adjustment to our Tier 1 curriculum. We used to use MAP for that, and it's not a really great measure to use for that because it gives us a percentile score, and then it gives us a breakdown in like vocabulary, literature, information, geometry. And we could dig into every single student and be like, okay, let's look at the granular, like where they scored and what they need. But it's not super actionable. It's hard for teachers to manage. And since we have like really great screeners in math to tell us in each unit what kids are ready to learn and what they already know, we can respond in unit to kids' needs. We can enrich and we can also support based on our classroom-based assessments. So math is kind of like, I don't want to say losing its value, but it's becoming a little less of a focus in our like academic picture because we're not using it to like inform day-to-day instruction. We're using it more for, are kids performing? Are they performing at grade level? Are they ready for above grade level work? And so I've had several teachers ask, do we have to keep giving this? And I say, yes, we do, because we don't have an achievement measure that we can use to see if students are ready for above grade level work. So we're keeping with MAP, but we're just not like, we're not making it the academic focus of our day-to-day work. We're not like putting a lot of pressure on kids to like raise your MAP score, or do all this computer work to like raise your MAP score. Let's give you a lot of higher level content that you may or may not be ready for to raise your MAP score. We're just kind of letting MAP show us what kids are doing in a given school year. And what we already know from our math data is that when we're showing them higher and higher level content, because our accelerated program is so robust, they're performing really, really well. They're performing above average in reading because that's kind of where our students live, is in that above average range. So I'll show you what that looks like in reading too. Some really quick terms to know that I'm gonna go over in the next couple of reports. The RIT score, that's the student's scale score. So the 210 or the 218. The mean RIT score is that average of all the students in a group's score. So you take kids in a given grade level and average their scores together and come out with an average score. The percentile rank takes the student's RIT and gives you a percentile ranking relative to others in the same grade nationally. The median percentile, which is in that first report I'll show you, that's the middle value of all the grade level student achievement percentiles. So if we ordered all of the student percentiles from lowest to highest, where's our midpoint? Where are the majority of our students achieving? Achievement percentile, that's the percentage of students in the national norm group that are scoring at or below a student or group's mean RIT score. So that basically means an achievement percentile is, this is where our students are achieving, and the percentage of students nationally, we are at or above that level. The projected growth, that's what we project students to grow based on their beginning RIT score and their end RIT score, so from fall to spring. And then observed growth is what they actually grew. And so we pull those reports in terms of the whole grade level to see if the grade level itself met their target score, or their projected growth, I should say. So this is just our end of the year spring data. So on the green percentile rankings next to the grade levels over on the left, that shows us our student median percentile. So ordering our percentiles highest to lowest, the majority of our students are performing right in the middle of the the above average range. So grade 2 at the 62nd percentile. I'll get into that a little bit later. And then most of our students are around the 70th percentile. And then we have the average RIT over on the right, and the breakdown within each grade level. You see that grade 4 and the 48% of students. So, like I said, very high performing group. I also pulled our our spring mean RIT and compared it to the national RIT, just to kind of give you a different look at how students are performing, and then the difference between our average RIT score and the national average RIT score. So pretty well, we're outperforming the national average, which is good. And then this is our cohort percentile ranks. So that's the achievement percentile. So for example, in 5th grade, our achievement percentile is the 84th percentile. So the majority of our students outperform students at that level. The projected RIT growth and then the observed RIT growth. Most of our grade levels were super close to meeting their projected growth. A couple of them did meet their projected growth. If they didn't, they were maybe like a point off, so not too bad. What I got from teachers this year was there was a lot of testing fatigue at the end of the year. And Taryn, your face is telling me we had IR in March. We had IR in March. We had ISA, the science test, in April for 5th and 7th grade, so I think they were a little sick of reading by the end of the year. And then we had MAP at the end of April, and then we had to finish universal screening with AIMSweb in May. So the kids were kind of fatigued, and I heard that a lot this year. So, but I'm really pleased with so I have in blue anything that's above the 80th I should have changed the 83. In blue is supposed to be above the 85th percentile, and then green is above the 80th percentile. So only 2nd grade was a grade that didn't perform at the well above average range or better. So still improving, still doing really great. And again, our IAR scores in reading show us our kids can handle complex grade level text, multiple texts to read, synthesize information, and write about it in a pressure environment where they only have an hour and a half to respond. So this doesn't worry me. Math, a little bit of a different story. Some of our grade levels are in the well above average range in their median percentile. The rest are in the above average range or close to the well above average range. Again, you see that grade 4 and grade 3. Grade 3 is also looking like a grade where we're going to probably have to have 2 advanced classes next year again for math. I see that probably happening a lot in the coming years. And then here's the national mean RIT and hours, and the difference in RIT scores between the national mean RIT and our mean RIT. I do want to point out that in 5th grade, the students who are in advanced math take the 6+ math test, and the students who are in on-level take the 2.5. And so the 228 is actually an average of all of those RIT scores. If I remember correctly looking at it, the 6+ average RIT score was about 239. And then the 5th grade on level was a 221, so like still awesome in both, but they average them together. And then as far as the meeting their targets or projected growth, so every single grade level is at or above the 85th percentile in terms of achievement. Our projected RIT growth, our observed RIT growth, pretty much every grade level met their target or were like less than 1% off. So that's math. Any questions? Still doing really great. I do have to say too, we have an MTSS coach through the Illinois MTSS network, which is unfortunately no longer as of the end of June. But she'll be working with us next year in some capacity, whether it's a consultative capacity or if the MTSS network finds a home. And when she sees our scores, she's like, districts wish they had what you guys have, and you know, she reminds our teachers of that too. So it's just really something to celebrate, and the way that our students have grown over the years as we put more and more rigorous curriculum in place is just, it's impressive for our teachers, it's impressive for our families, it's impressive for our students. So Ames Web is the last one I wanted to go over. Because we haven't spent a lot of time on this, but this is now our universal screener within our multi-tiered system of support. So the MTSS system is basically a continuous improvement framework. It's prevention focused, data informed, and it's a coherent, continuous system of support for all learners. So we use both academic and, we're going to change this from behavioral to non-academic needs of students through high quality instruction and intervention developed to meet those needs. Because MTSS doesn't just focus on the academic piece, it also focuses on the non-academic as well. And just some visuals for you as well. A multi-tiered system of support needs a universal screener that is 3 times a year, kind of like what I'm going to say on the next slide, a temperature check. You don't want something that's super long and super tedious because you want to see how students are performing in the moment. We have data review meetings at every single grade level 3 times per year after this benchmarking is complete, fall, winter, and spring. We look at every single student. We look at how they fall on this continuum. And our typical breakdown that we're looking for is that 80% of the students are performing well at the Tier 1 level, meaning the regular classroom instruction is no problem for them, and we can enrich them and move them forward and continue to help them grow. Tier 2 might be, you need some targeted support to be successful at Tier 1. So you can handle Tier 1, but you need a little bit more time or a little bit more review or a little bit more something to be successful at Tier 1. And then Tier 3 is typically about 5% of the students in the grade level, and they might need intensive support to keep up with the Tier 1 curriculum. So they might have skill gaps that we need to address. They might be, they might have come from another school district and they might be a little behind in terms of how far ahead we are. It's hard for move-ins a lot of times because, especially in math, like we are already so far beyond what students are used to in some other districts that we do have to like give them some intervention to help catch them up or give them a boot camp and show them how to do things. We have data check-in meetings as well every 6 weeks in between. So after our fall data meetings, 6 weeks later, we check in on all the students who are in Tier 2 and Tier 3. We see if they're making progress. If they're not, we consider changing an intervention or intensifying an intervention. If they are making progress, we can leave them alone and keep them going. We do that again between the winter data review meeting in the spring. And then obviously in the spring, we kind of close up the books, look at where the students have left the grade level, and prepare for the following year. And we collect non-academic and academic data. So Ames Web, that's our universal screener. We give it in reading and math, all students in the buildings, and it just assesses that performance on grade level skills, and it's that temperature check. It uses both national norms and local norms. So we not only look at students as they compare nationally, but we look at the entire grade level locally to see how they're performing within the grade level.
How long does it take to do each of these screenings?
It depends on which grade level. So for example, the kindergarten early literacy, it's like 1 minute for letter naming fluency and 1 minute for letter sound fluency, but they're all individual. So we have to pull them one by one and test each of them. The 2nd through 8th grade is about 30 to 45 minutes. Almost all of those are group assessments except oral reading fluency. So oral reading fluency takes about a minute, and it's individual, so we have to pull the kids one by one, listen to them read and score them. So it can take anywhere from 10 minutes to about 45. So our reading measures are here. We do early literacy with kindergarten and first. 2nd through 8th grade, then we get into reading comprehension, vocabulary, and reading fluency. It's oral, read aloud in up through 3rd grade. And then starting in 4th grade, it's a silent reading fluency where they're silently reading passages to themselves and answering questions. And we'll give oral reading fluency in 4th and up to if needed, if we're still monitoring a student's progress and they haven't met that grade level standard. So, okay, this is a lot of data. And I'm going to explain it the best way I can, but ask questions if you need to. So what we're looking for is for our students to fall in that 80% of our students are successful at Tier 1, no more than 15% at Tier 2, and no more than 5% at Tier 3. And to kind of measure that out, you have to set what's called a spring target. And that spring target basically just says, if we do nothing, our expectation is if the kids take a content test at the end of the year, they will perform on that test at that percentile or better. So we're looking to average to above average. We want to see all of our students, so kind of like they're above average on math, or well above average on math, they're above to well above average on IAR. So this puts it in line with, we want to make sure our students are successful at the grade level. That doesn't mean they're all like performing at the 50th percentile. That's just the target we set to know how we need to intervene with the grade level. What was happening before is we'd set that MTSS target at the 40th percentile, and then everybody under it would just be an intervention. And we were way over identifying kids for intervention and really giving them unnecessary intervention, and also kind of giving them complexes because we were like, you're not successful at grade level, but they were. We just weren't using the right tool. Now that we have the right assessment tool, we can adjust that spring target to make sure we have that pretty looking triangle with the 5%, 15%, and the 80% at each grade level, so that every grade level has that distribution, and we're not over supporting and we're not under supporting. So you'll see those spring targets. Last year, those spring targets were at the 30th and the 40th percentile. And this year, our students have grown so much that we started adjusting the spring targets to say, okay, you know, so last year we had to have most of the early literacy targets at the 30th to 40th percentile, and most of the 2nd and up at the 40th percentile. And now that we've gone through a year of giving Ames Web 3 times a year, every single child, making sure they understand what they're doing, the kids are doing on the test, we've been able to adjust the targets so that we're basically like intervening with the right kids. So instead of putting an arbitrary number and saying everybody has to perform at the 50th percentile, we adjust it to each grade level, and that way we're getting the right kids who need the support, and we're getting them the support that they need. And that target gets adjusted by the district MTSS team after the fall benchmark screening, the winter screening, and the spring screening. So we're always adjusting to make sure we've got that really nice looking triangle and that we're keeping the expectations high and keeping the student performance high. So when we looked at all of these grade levels at the 40th percentile, we're like, oh my gosh, they like blew it. We're seeing like 90% of the kids at tier 1. So we're like, okay, we gotta raise the targets. So that's what we should see in a high performing district, is that we keep raising the target and adjusting the target to make sure everybody in the grade level is getting what they need. So kids are doing great. I mean, these, also when our MTSS coach looked at this, she's like, never seen someone need the 55th percentile as a spring target. And in fact, we could probably go higher in 5th grade and up to the 60th, which we'll likely do next year. Math measures, just wrapping up. These are the early math and 2nd through 8th grade math measures that we give. It's a lot of like number naming fluency. It's how fluent are you in recognizing your numbers, adding, subtracting, doing all those operations. And then there's a concepts and applications piece in each grade level, which tests them on grade level skills. So the kids aren't all taking the exact same test. It's another thing we like about AimsWeb. Instead of it being like a wide grade level band, they're getting a test at their grade level, and we're seeing their performance on those skills and how they do, how accurate they are, how fluent they are. And again, kids are doing great. We need way higher targets in 4th grade and up for sure, even 5th grade and up for sure. So I set the highest target at the 55th percentile this spring because it was new for us, but I think we'll see much higher targets when we finish the school years in the future too. So I don't know how we have to, I don't know what we have to do to get kids into tier 2 in 4th grade, but we'll probably set the target at 75%, I don't know. But the kids are doing great. Oh, and there's my quote. Are there any questions?
I have a quick question. You mentioned testing fatigue as an explanation potentially for performance. I have testing fatigue as well.
I think we all do.
But obviously, if they're testing, they're also not learning.
Yeah.
Has there been any thought or looking at, I'm sure the answer is no, but trying to reduce the amount of testing?
The answer is yes.
Okay. But can we reduce the amount of testing that's being done?
Yeah, we want to. What's come up in our grade level and district level conversations is, do we have to give MAP? And we don't have a replacement for it right now. So my goal is to start looking at possible replacements that are shorter or more actionable, because that's the one that like is just kind of hanging out there as like, so AimsWeb is super actionable. I can pull up any student and be like, okay, here's what you got in comprehension, and here's the breakdown of where you struggled in comprehension, and I can act on that right away. I can set a goal, I can progress monitor that student when we put an intervention in place, and we can have them achieve that goal. I can't do that in math. But we don't have something in our advanced placement system that shows me above grade level performance. So that's one of my goals, is to start looking at other assessment options so that we have that achievement option, but we don't have to give MAP. And there's some other things with MAP that we can get into at another time. It's long, it stresses the kids out.
Like there's constantly technology issues too. Like they can't
There
access the test. And then
yes, there can be technology issues, but also like it's the timed versus untimed testing. So we're sending kids 2 different messages of like, on AimsWeb and MAP and COGAT, you have to do time tests. But on MAP, you have as long as you, or IAR, COGAT, AimsWeb, it's timed. But MAP, you have as long as you want, which is not always realistic. Or like the kids have a really hard time with getting questions wrong on MAP. Like that's the whole thing with MAP, is that you're gonna get 50% of the questions wrong. But the kids know that, and then they get like, especially the younger ones mostly. The older ones, they can handle it, but 2nd grade, 3rd grade, like they get really upset and frustrated because they know they're getting stuff wrong, and then they know they're getting easier questions, and then they're getting upset, feeling like they're not good enough or smart enough or whatever. So yeah, we're looking at it. I mean, I think the quickest fix we could do is maybe only give the MAP to the grade levels that have advanced learning programs, so 4th grade and up, which would at least cut down on the 2nd and 3rd grade testing, especially since 3rd grade also takes COGAT. And we positioned COGAT very thoughtfully. Once in 3rd grade, we give the full battery so that we can start the advanced learning process in 4th grade, and then again in 6th grade so that we can prepare them for high school and also determine a double excel in math if we need to. So I'm intending on presenting about that in September when I do my curriculum review update, but the testing fatigue is, the spring testing fatigue is real. That is, if you look at all the assessments we give, that's the time of the year that's the worst. And the teachers felt it this year, the kids definitely felt it this year. Clearly it didn't affect our IAR performance too much, but I do think it affects our math performance, because by the time the kids get to that, they're like, 50 questions and unlimited time, and so, yeah, we're taking a serious look at it, but we won't make any changes until we've really thoroughly investigated, and we'll also bring it to you guys too before we make those changes, so.
Yeah, to
Thank you.
Karen's point, I wish we could go back to Scantron.
I
But
know.
deductive reasoning, and,
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
it's just lost.
Yeah,
Crossing
and
off
like-
questions, like answers. I feel like
And math
There's a
isn't a great
pattern on that
assessment for
thing.
that either, because math doesn't let you eliminate choices.
Yeah.
So I think that's another psychological thing for kids, is that they're looking at this test. On IAR, they can answer mask, so they can take
can
off.
cross it off.
Yeah, they can cross
Okay.
stuff off. On math, they can't, they're just sitting there
Interesting,
looking
yeah.
at this test question for minutes and minutes and minutes, or they're just going, doop, boop. You know, so it's, I don't know how much great information it's giving us, other than our students who are very motivated and want to get into advanced placement, or want to get into an advanced course, and they're gonna like work really hard and try really hard, but they stress themselves out too, so.
You have all this data, I wonder if you could feed that into like AI to,
Sometimes we do.
no,
Yeah, that
to
kid knows on it.
compensate for the map piece. Like, if you had written
Oh.
some prompts for the other two
Yeah.
tests, because you have a ton of data
I know.
that would predict
Yeah.
if somebody could,
Be
go into
above
an
grade level?
advanced,
Yeah.
advanced class.
I know, we thought about too, like, we used to do a writing assessment that in 5th through 8th grade, or 5th through 7th, that the teachers like grade, like, they took like 2 or 3 days of grading and everything. But that's why it's also nice that we have a better classroom level assessment system, because that's where your pencil and paper is coming in. I mean, you guys have seen the Bridges math tests, like, those are challenging. And they're challenging in a good way, rather than some of the challenges that we're throwing at students that probably aren't like the best for them. So, we'll keep working on it, we'll keep figuring it out, but as far as the state of the district in terms of student achievement, we're doing really well. Our focus for next year is going to be a lot on the non-academic data, and really start looking at students' social emotional well-being, executive functioning, pieces like that are like another key to helping our students be successful, because we're like running out of stuff to, I mean, we never run out of stuff to do at the elementary with students and helping them learn their skills to be successful later on, but as they get older, their needs become more non-academic than academic at this point.
I just have one other request. Is it possible, like, moving forward for our spring results, if we're able to like get that data before like the last day of school? Because I feel
Yeah,
like this year
yeah.
we got like all the results on one
Yeah,
day,
that's right. Yeah.
and it wasn't like enough time. Like, I could ask the teacher, like, oh, what can we work on this summer?
Yeah.
Or like, I noticed she's,
Yeah.
sliding in this. Like, what, just it's a
Yeah.
little more time to kind of like digest it and then loop back with.
With
Yeah, it
the
all
teacher.
comes in the half day and it's
Yeah,
chaos and
yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's just,
Yeah. Well, that could also be why, not everybody looks at it. So,
Yeah.
that could be a reason why. We can send those out after we finish the testing periods. Ames Web might get a little tricky with makeups because it's so close to the end of the year, because when you do a data review meeting, you don't want old data. So we have to make sure our Ames Web universal screening data is within 2 weeks, had been given within 2 weeks of when we had the meeting. Otherwise, the data's old, and the kids have learned like tons more in 2 weeks, so we have to be able to make really good decisions based on the data we have. So Ames Web might be a little tough map, we can probably send earlier, so, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Alright, last
item under administrative reports is to review school board section 2 board policies. So in your packet, you have the changes to select for section 2 board policies. All the changes are highlighted with red text and they follow updates based on the press policy service. Pretty standard changes based on legal updates and new laws and things like that. Did I have any typos this time?
Well, I had a question about the one.
I did fix that.
Okay.
So Becky had a question about one of, I think it was 2220, maybe, which talks about board meetings and recording of board meetings. And so we used to house video, actually we've always housed videos on YouTube. So we just changed the policy to reflect it was on YouTube. And Becky's point was, but the link to get to YouTube is still on our website. So people don't have to like go to YouTube and search it, they can go to our website. So I clarified that on the website, or on the policy, that they're on YouTube with a link to YouTube on our website.
Great, thank you.
So those will be on the August agenda for approval. Cool.
Perfect. And then moving on to item 8, items for the next agenda. Again, there is no July meeting, so this is for the August board meeting. And so we have facilities update, summer academy update, hiring status report, declassify executive session minutes, class size update, review personnel section 5 board policies, approval for the overnight student trips, and then tentative budget. Feedback? Okay. Item 9 is open forum. We do not have anyone here, and so we'll move on to adjourn the meeting.
Before we adjourn, just real quick on the FOIA requests seem to be awfully lengthy again. I know I'm a broken record at this point, but it seems to be a lot, and I'm guessing Griffin is spending a lot of time fulfilling these requests, and our attorney's spending a lot of money
So
on those requests as well. So just that's
Yep.
It's interesting what one of the policies,
So this is 2 months worth of FOIAs, remember, because we didn't have a May meeting.
Right,
So
right.
this is 2 months, it's a lot. I think what we're seeing is an uptick, quite honestly, in what I would call AI enhanced FOIAs, where they're able to use AI and send, I mean, many of these FOIAs, not all of them, but many of them are FOIAs that everyone in the entire state gets because they can hit a button and send it out. And so there are companies that are FOIAing all different types of government agencies to collect data to sell to vendors. So we're getting lots of requests for things like purchase agreements and contracts and bidding information and things like that. So my guess is we'll continue to see an uptick in those sorts of FOIAs because it is becoming easier and easier to submit them. I mean, across the board, even just individual people can use AI to write their FOIA, put it in an email, and send it. It becomes very, very easy to write a FOIA. And it's their right? They 100% have the right to submit those requests.
of course just one of
But yes, it does cost time and it does cost money.
That's all I wanted to say.
All right, adjourn?
You
Is that a?
do a roll call
is that a
or
roll
a
call?
voice vote.
Adjournment? Mr. Bracco?
Yes?
Mrs. Lenza?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mr. Zona?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mrs. Marchione?
Yes.
7:08.
Meeting is adjourned.
7:08.